Hey YouTube, what's happening? It's Richard, founder of Short Term Rental University and professional real estate developer. And today's video is something that the community kind of asked me about, so we thought we'd film a video, and that is, what does a day in my life look like as a professional Airbnb entrepreneur and superhost? So I've jotted down the 5 things that I spend my time on in the order of importance, and I'm going to share that with you, but I just want to point out the following. It didn't start this way, right? When I first started the Airbnb hosting experience as an entrepreneur, I was really hands-on. I was learning as much as I possibly could. I did everything short of just cleaning myself, probably because I'm just not that good at it and it doesn't excite me at all, and there's better people to do it. But other than that, I did all of the calendar management and all of the things that you might be doing right now as you get started, and I wanted to paint a picture of that evolution and tell you what it is that I'm doing now, because this should be your goal. Elements of this should be in your vision as you grow and expand, and just know it's reachable and attainable. And the very first thing that I want to share with you is that I spend my time growing my business. I spend my time, my energy, my thoughts, everything on growing my business. And for me, that means developing properties like I've got in the Outer Banks of North Carolina, purchasing boutique hotels like I'm doing in Nosara, Costa Rica, and looking for new, unique opportunities. So that's something that, like, my mind and my money is really centered around my decision making, and I can't really outsource that. So you might ask, well, what does that look like on a day-to-day basis? And really it's all about speaking to my network, my relationships, my brokerage community, my friends and family and other people that have opportunities, ideas, the Facebook group. There's all sorts of opportunities, and I'm constantly just filtering through areas of interest, opportunities, buy, sell, development, building, and it's just it's very hard to quantify exactly what it is and how I do it, but just know that the primary focus for my business is in expansion and in growth mode, and every day looks a little bit differently, but it's more with that forward-looking mindset than it is like maintenance or day-to-day operations. The second thing that I do is really pretty straightforward, and I think we all do it, but I think if you think about it the way that I do, it becomes even more important. I read all of the feedback and all of the reviews that come across all of my different properties from different guests. And the reason I think that that's most important is because here are users, guests sharing with me both publicly and also in private feedback what they like and what they don't like, and oftentimes guests are really hospitable and they leave very nice public reviews, but then they'll share with me on the inside that, like, the drain is clogged or this might need some attention. My team reads that too, but I'm looking to grow and to learn from these experiences. I'm looking for some of the more subtle or things that my team may not understand. There may not be action items behind them. Like the drain, they know what to do and we can fix it. But if there is something to do with the experience or how they felt or some of these more soft things, the nuance of it, that's really invaluable to me, because that's sort of the culture of my organization, and it has to be consistent with my why and my branding, and that's unique to me. The third thing that I do is I address red flags. My team will highlight to me questions that they have that are unique to them, that they need some help or guidance on, trying to understand whether this person should be a good fit and allowed to stay in our homes or not. And so when there's things that are unique or questions that the guest has, or there's some red flags, maybe 0 reviews, maybe they're a local, some of the things that we've talked about on other videos, oftentimes those will surface to me and I make the final decision. It's not so important that I make the final decision, but what I want to do is teach my team through that decision making what it is that I'm looking for, why I made the decision, and start to train them using these real life examples to their benefit and ultimately to my benefit and our business's benefit, because I'm teaching them to think like I do. Now, this doesn't happen on a daily basis. We don't have so many inquiries that there's red flags all the time. But the reason that this is so important is, and again, I've filmed videos on this, is guest selection, attracting the right people that are going to come in and have good, positive experiences and leave 5-star reviews is really important. And the way that you do that is by saying no to the wrong people and avoiding that big party, that big disaster, people that ruined your home. Like, that's a lot of energy and money and time that takes into repairing all that, and like, it's not good for the team. So if we can avoid those and free up the calendar for the people that we do want to attract, that's a really good mindset to help grow our business and grow our team, and that's why I spend time and energy on that. But I would say on average that's maybe 1 or 2 inquiries a week at most about questionable stays. The fourth thing I do is really stay on top of our finances and our accounting and our profitability, and I receive reports on a daily basis that tells us things about our pricing and our occupancy and our health scores, and all that relates to money and how much cash flow there is. And I want to make sure that the business is solvent and running smoothly and that all systems are go. So while I don't actually prepare any of the reports or work on the pricing strategy, I have those all reported to me, and I review all of those reports to stay ahead of the curve as opposed to being reactionary and having a problem or a hiccup. I'm always ahead of the curve. And then number 5 is kind of similar to 4. Once I have an understanding of all of our finances and profitability and dynamic pricing strategies and all of this and that, I stay on top of the money movements, right? So I will authorize and actually pay the different cleaning teams and the different service providers and anybody who's come in and done the repairs. And the reason I do that is just from a control perspective. I want to make sure that I'm the one in charge of making the money movements, the wires, the deposits, and things like that, and I don't have somebody else due to concerns about fraud or anything like that. Although my team is fantastic and I'm super grateful, I think it's just best practice to have really tight money movement controls, processes, and procedures in place so that you don't wake up one day and find out like, oops, I wish I had done that before. I do it in advance. And the 6th thing that I do, I'm uniquely qualified to do, and when something happens, whether it's with a guest or with the town or a permit or something that is really important and is going to be involved and not just a simple question and answer, I generally get involved in that to make sure that it goes really smoothly. I just had an incident in Crested Butte where there was more vehicles parked than were allowed, and so I was speaking with the town manager and also the guests to overcome that situation, because it's too important to lose a permit over something silly. And so when it comes to something that's really important and critical and time consuming, I'm going to be involved in that and then debrief with my team so that they learn, update our instructions or our check-in procedures or whatever the conclusion is, to make sure that on a go-forward basis, every single time we're now complying with whatever we learned, or the best practices in satisfying a disgruntled client are now applied. Whatever those little issues are, I'll handle it in real time, and then we'll put in systems in place so that others can then follow suit. So the point of this video is that I want to share with you not only the things that I do, but more importantly, the things that I don't do. And the reason that I don't do them, and the reason I want to teach you, is because I believe 98% of hosts are making these mistakes and spending their time in the wrong places, and or not aspiring to what the goal should be. I have a pretty simple rule, and I apply it across all of my businesses, and it's pretty straightforward. I delegate and I outsource as much as possible. And the criteria is, if there's anybody on the planet who can do it as well as I can or better, they do it. I save all of my time for things that are unique to me, where my mind has to make the final decision. And believe it or not, in freeing myself up and giving them all of the responsibility and empowering them to make these decisions and delegating all of it, I have an awful lot of time. As you just heard, that's what I do in my Airbnb business on a daily basis. And you're probably thinking, well, gee, that doesn't take very long. And you're not incorrect. So the basic premise is outsource everything that I possibly can to people that are equally qualified, or in many cases, superior to me in that area. And that allows me to focus on just the things that I'm uniquely qualified to do. So let me give you a few examples. So in short, I spend my time doing things that don't relate to the daily operation of the business. It is in fact a business, and consequently it's set up to run and operate like a business, where people have responsibilities, we've got systems and processes, and we just continue to do the daily routine elements of it automatically, right? That's all set in motion. Where I do spend all of my time and energies in growing the business, making unique decisions, looking for opportunities, figuring out how best to continue to grow and expand not only myself, but my team, the audience. And I think that that's not only intellectually stimulating for me, but it also makes me prevent burnout. And that's one of the single biggest risks, and very unfortunate that I see successful hosts and or entrepreneurs. They just try and do everything themselves, including the cleaning and the check-in and all of this stuff. And it not only a grind, if it's not fun, then it becomes a chore. Once it becomes a chore, then it's not even a job. And then no matter how much money you're making, you're subject to burnout, and that would be a tragedy and a travesty because there's just so much opportunity. So if any of this resonates with you, please go ahead and comment below, like what solutions have you put in place, or what questions do you have? Come join us in our Facebook group. We have over 18,000 hosts there from all over the world that are facing the same challenges and struggles and questions. Great information there, and it's a wonderful place to post your questions as well so that we can all continue to grow and take advantage of this wonderful opportunity without facing that burnout potential. So comment below, let me know what it is that you do or what questions you have, and please go ahead and like the video and subscribe to the channel, and don't quit, don't burn out, keep going, the best is yet to come.